Hello, and welcome to Behind the Spires. I'm Ed, and this is...
Hi guys, I'm Molly, and we are your friendly neighborhood city employees.
Yes, come join us Behind the Spires, where we will bring the business of Frederick forward, highlighting updates on Frederick's projects, policies, and events.
Each week, we bring a special guest with us behind the spires to introduce you to the people shaping life here in the city of Frederick. Mm-hmm. And today, we have a very special guest. We're joined by Council President César Díaz. César was recently elected to the council and then shortly thereafter elected as council president. Yes. And he's been a big part of shaping policy around protecting Frederick's immigrant community and growing our city in a thoughtful way. We'll talk about what he's hearing from residents across the entire city, his role as council president, and the big issues that are shaping Frederick's future.
Right. And if you're not watching us on video, you can catch our lovely mugs on YouTube at City of Frederick, Maryland. Of course, you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and all the other podcasting services.
And now, our interview with Council President Díaz, right after this commercial break. Hello.
We really value the partnerships we create with local companies who we trust to provide products and services that help us keep Frederick at the highest level of livability and sustainability for our residents. Just visit our website at frederickmd.gov/Frederick Buys and follow the prompts to register as a vendor today. Remember, when Frederick buys, Frederick thrives.
And welcome back.
Welcome back, you guys. And we have our very special guest with us today, Council President César Díaz. Welcome to Behind the Spires.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, of course.
For those who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, lived there till I was 20. 1991, moved to Maryland. First lived in the Baltimore suburbs, and then my now ex-wife and my older son and I moved to Frederick in 1997. We had a second son. They both grew up here. So I've lived in Frederick since then, with a small little tiny break for about a year. I lived in Hagerstown, but pretty much have spent most of my time in Frederick even then. My kids are grown, and one of them still lives here in Frederick. The other one lives in New York, and I think that's it. Oh, I work in information technology.
Yeah, we were chatting before this that you, on top of your council president duties, you have a actual 9-to-5 job as well.
Right, I do.
Yes, that's something I think about often.
Yeah. Well, you're a council president now,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still in your first term on the council.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to run, and what were people telling you when you were out knocking on doors?
So when the city rechartered and came up with the districts, at that time, when that became official, I was doing some immigration advocacy work. I'm a member of the RISE Coalition of Western Maryland, doing a lot of just general immigration advocacy, but doing a lot of work towards getting rid of the 287G bill. And through that work, met a lot of people in the community, and there was nobody who was saying that they were going to run for District 2. So the Golden Mile area is District 2 in the city. So a couple of the people from the group that the folks that I was working with, just approached me about running. They hinted at it for a long time, and I wasn't quite getting it. I was like, "Oh, do you know anyone?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'll see." Well, maybe do you know anyone? I was like, "Okay, I get it. Right? I'll look around." And then finally, somebody asked, and it still took me a long time to decide. It was never something I had ever even remotely thought about. I tell people I spent most of my time yelling at elected leaders or politicians, so I never really thought about it. And yelling at politicians is kind of like a family thing. We've been doing that for a long time. So a lot of conversations with my family, with friends, and finally my son said to me, well, Dad, you spent my whole life yelling at the TV and at the news and whatever, and maybe this is your opportunity to actually do some things. And then my stepson said, because I was talking to him, And I was like, well, it's a race. Like I could lose. And he's like, well, you always tell me that you should at least try everything. So you might as well try this. So between the two of them, they were like the last thing that made me decide. So, yeah.
I love when kids come back with the lessons that we teach them, and you're like, no, that's not how that works.
It's a little annoying sometimes, but also, I guess that means I did something right. So.
Exactly.
But then when I started knocking on doors, I was hearing a lot of things. So immigration issues are real big in District 2, but those are usually at the federal level. So those came up a lot, and then we talk about with people how those affected them here in Frederick. But the 2 things or 3 things I think that I heard the most were affordability, especially around housing, traffic, and how sometimes it gets a little really congested, especially in like my neighborhood, like the Hillcrest area. And just what people feel that development is out of control. I don't necessarily agree with the phrase out of control, but that's how people feel. And they're concerned around that. And I think those were the top 3 that almost everywhere I went in my district, and even in events, with other candidates that were in other parts of the city, those were the 3 things that I think were the most common.
So definitely some heavy hitters. It's not exactly like light topics.
No, I think that we could just go like
exactly,
that. Yeah.
Exactly. And balancing like affordability and a lot of traffic with development and making sure you hit the right is no easy task. Yeah. So you said you moved to Frederick in 1997, and you've lived pretty much everywhere around the city, in every district. How does that experience shape the way you see Frederick as a whole, and not just representing District 2, which you do? Yeah,
so I have lived in, even if some of them was for a short period of time, I've lived in every district. It's also been almost 30 years. So like the city, in the times I moved in till now, has pretty much doubled. So some of the areas are completely different. There are neighborhoods that are completely new that didn't exist when I first got here. But I think it still lets me see how all the different pieces fit together from personal experience, right? I mean, I think all other council members who have maybe not lived in as many areas can still see that, but I can think of something that I know about an area, right? How the traffic has changed, how the development has changed, schools that are here now that aren't here, or schools that have been rebuilt. Like my kids went to North Frederick Elementary, and now it's a new North Frederick, right? So things like that, I think, just gives me a little different perspective.
Yeah, from yelling at the politicians in every area, you get the idea of like what someone's going to come. Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah. Now, as council president, you've got some added responsibilities beyond representing District 2, like presiding over meetings and helping set the agenda. What's the side of the job what's that side of the job been like, and how has it differed than what you expected?
Different how I expected is a weird thing to think about because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So that was, I didn't know what I was getting into. It's definitely a complex job. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Sure.
So it definitely was a very steep learning curve, but I'm very fortunate that I've gotten a lot of support. So I got a lot of support from my family. Like the campaign ended and it's like, yay, you're going to be home more. And then it's like, well, maybe not.
Nope.
But they were very supportive during the campaign, and then they continue to be. And then the biggest thing has been support from city staff. From literally the moment I walked in, showing me around, just the physical layout of the building, but also just the processes that go into setting up the meetings and dealing with the different departments. So Phyllis Hain, the city clerk, has been amazing. She even, 8 months in, and she has a book for me for every meeting. She calls it my stage directions. Still manage to mess them up sometimes, but that's a huge help. Claire Jackson, the legislative manager, you all in the production team, like explaining to me what it takes to like book the room and set up for special events when we've had special meetings. And then just all the department heads. So that support has made the steep learning curve a little bit easier to navigate. So
we can be of assistance.
Yeah. You don't really think about like logistics of the nitty gritty. You like think about those high level things of like, okay, I have this policy I want to focus on, and then it's like actually doing it and like getting rooms booked and stuff is it actually is like really how the work gets done as well. So what is the best way for residents to reach you if they have a concern, and what are you hearing most when people contact you now that you're in the job?
The easiest way really is email. Like I said, I work in information technology, and a lot of the things that I do is like responding to events. So I'm like very addicted, some people would say, to my email. So I tend to at least look at my email pretty frequently when stuff comes in. So C. Díaz at cityoffrederickmd.gov, or the form online to ask your council where they can select all of us or part of us. Those are usually the best ways. Also, it's something that I can refer to.
Yeah.
I can go back and look at the email. What we're hearing, it goes up and down depending on what business is coming in front of the council. So our agendas get published ahead of time. So if there's an agenda item that comes up, like the Gateway, the cricket field, then we tend to get a lot of emails or calls about that, or specific development or ordinance. But even when those are the focus, or maybe where there's things that are not getting quite as much attention, we get a lot of things around development. And also, like when we had the big snowstorm back in the beginning of the year, right? We got a lot of emails around that. Things about facilities, people having questions about not knowing how something works. So then they're like, oh, why isn't it this way? Well, that's because that's not the way it's supposed to work. So we get a lot of it. It really varies, but the bulk of our email depends on what items are coming up on our agendas. Yeah.
So stay tuned for the public meetings page because it has the agendas before the meeting actually comes out.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell people, you can sign up to get the emails, the agendas emailed to you. Like I did that before. I still get them, even though I get them at a time.
No, you also help create them.
Yeah. But I think it's great. Right?
Yeah.
Because then I see what people are getting. But then I think it's the best way to stay up to date.
Yeah, you can put your email in on that page so you can sign up to get them.
Yeah, and you get all the agendas for the different commissions, and you can choose which ones you go to. And then, of course, they're listed on the city public meetings page, too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard you also volunteer over at Centro Hispano.
Yes.
You teach computer classes to Spanish-speaking residents and everything. What draws you to that work, and how does that inform how you approach representing Frederick's immigrant community on council?
So, like I said, I work in information technology. I've never been like officially a trainer, but I have found that I'm pretty good at explaining things. My mom's a retired teacher, so maybe there's like some DNA thing going.
That helps.
Sure.
So initially, it was just a way to give back to the community, and computer skills are important no matter what you do, right? No matter what job you have, there's going to be some computer skills, or even if you need to be able to email your kids' school or check their grades or sign up for information or fill out applications online. So it's an important skill that sometimes people just don't have because they never had the opportunity. And while I really felt like I was aware of the issues facing the community, seeing people balance that while also trying to improve their life by gaining these skills. So the lady who had to bring her child to class because she didn't have anybody to watch them, or the person who missed 2 classes in a row because their shift changed, and if they don't go to work, they don't get paid, and then ask, can I make up that class? So it's seeing how all the things that happen in their life in the community affect every other part. And these are folks who are trying to improve themselves. And Centro Hispano does amazing work for the community and are very, very flexible. But there's always something that comes up. And you don't think how childcare or even transportation affects the ability for someone to take a class who's taken it because they want to be able to solve that first problem, which is paying for childcare or transportation. So it just made me even more aware of direct people who are having the different issues. Yeah.
And you spoke about this, but like learning how to use a computer and technology is like accessibility, really.
Right.
It is being able to get a job if they need to get a new job, or think about it, just like email the teachers at school.
Yeah, almost impossible to look for a job these days without a computer.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Like, when I grew up in the 80s or whatever, like you'd open the paper and like look in the classifieds, right?
Like circle. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's no, I guess there's classifieds. I get the paper electronically, so I don't even know, right?
Yeah.
So like it's almost impossible to look for work without maybe walking around looking for help wanted signs. So
Right.
even something that basic, or even if you're not looking for work, like you said, talking to your teacher, your kids' teachers, or signing them up for Little League or whatever.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things you just told us about, you started with Rise, and they were like, "Hey, do you know anyone?" To your work now, you recently introduced and helped pass the City Values Act. So for residents who haven't followed it closely or doesn't know exactly what it is, what does the ordinance do?
So the City Values Act was what it does is it sets up some guidelines for city staff on how to deal with immigration enforcement at city facilities. As everyone knows, immigration enforcement has stepped up a lot in the last few years, and we had never seen a problem here in Frederick, but we have seen in other parts of the state and other parts of the country where that enforcement is getting, in my opinion, out of hand and hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of concerns. One of them was, what are city employees supposed to do when someone shows up, right? And they want to enter and take somebody. We can pass policies, right? But I think having it as part of an ordinance sends a little bit of a stronger message and gives staff something to directly say, well, I am supposed to call my supervisor, who's supposed to ask for a warrant, who's supposed to, manage how that happens. So that was one aspect. And the other one was to send a message to the immigrant community that city spaces are safe spaces. One of the things that I would hear is that people were afraid to come to the city. And I knew that people were afraid to like go to the store or take the kids to school or, do day-to-day things. But they were also afraid to like go to the pool or go to a park. Or I would tell them about benefits that the city had available, and then they were afraid to come apply for them in person. So show to them that if you're in a city facility, it's going to be a place where you're safe so that you can seek the help that you need, or go to the pool, or go to a park, or go to the rec center, or anything else, and still be safe.
It's good because it's all like safety, like public safety. Like for us, like if something happened exactly, like I wouldn't know what to do previous, like I don't know. And so having actual guidance to be like, okay, so this is literally what we do.
Right.
Now, what would you say to residents who have questions or concerns about how the ordinance affects city operations or public safety?
So the goal, like I said, was to give city staff some guidance. So if something like that happens, they would be able to know what to do without having to figure it out at the moment to keep that operation of whatever it is, whatever city facility running. As far as public safety, we don't feel that this is going to have any impact on public safety because it doesn't preclude law enforcement activity. So if somebody is at a public facility and there is an emergency, this doesn't stop Frederick Police Department from responding, handling a situation, right? This only applies to immigration enforcement, and it doesn't say you can't do, or that federal law enforcement can't do immigration enforcement. It just says they have to follow the rules, right? The rules that are laid out in the Constitution, right? To have a warrant to enter a protected space, you have to have warrants for people, not just a piece of paper. So we feel, if anything, this improves public safety because another thing is, as people feel safe, so if they need to go to the police department to report something and they are asked to come in person, that's a city facility. If they're at the pool and something happens and they need to call law enforcement because of an emergency, again, it's not going to be immigration enforcement, so this doesn't affect it at all.
Like they won't be fearful going to the Frederick Police.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very important. What impact are you hoping that this has for immigrant families day to day? Like they'll feel comfortable partnering with the city for things, going to the city for things?
Yeah, Frederick's an amazing city. We have a lot of services available for people, a lot of facilities. And if you're a resident of the city, you should be able to feel safe going to them, right? And feeling safe means we have the Frederick Police Department, and there's not a lot of crime in the area, right? So people, I feel, generally feel safe using our facilities. But people who are fearful of immigration enforcement don't have like this extra worry that they need to take care of. So the goal of this was to let them know you are welcome here. This was done again to fix any problem. I think Frederick, we've never seen a problem. I didn't imagine if we didn't pass this, like immigrants were going to be ignored or that the city was not doing enough.
Right.
But it just codifies it, puts it into law, and then just makes it clear what the standards are.
And when you introduced this, there was a lot of, like, the first time you introduced it in a public meeting, like, it was pretty packed. Like, people were and you said, I think, like, this is really good to see, like, even if people are against something or for something, like, City Hall was packed and people showing up for the civic process. Yeah.
Yeah, no, public participation is really important to me. You all manage you run the meetings as far as the AV and stuff like that. So you see, like, I tend to be very, very generous for people's public comments, and we welcome people to come speak to us. That's kind of our job, is to listen to them. Getting sworn in was a big deal. Getting chosen by the rest of the council to be council president, and the reaction that day was kind of a big deal. But passing the City Values Act and seeing the reaction of people is also right up there. I think there might have been one person who had some concerns who spoke out, but the support was tremendous. So
It's really awesome.
yeah, it was great.
Well, kind of going in a different direction right now. Growth and development are front and center in Frederick. How do you think about balancing new development with preserving the character of, like, existing neighborhoods?
The age-old question.
Yeah, that's an easy one. No, that's one of the biggest issues that we deal with. Frederick is the fastest growing city in the state. Like I said, I think it's almost exactly doubled in the time that I've lived here. So balancing that is important, and it's something that we as a council are looking at. What do we need to do to make sure that happens, that balance happens? So we're looking at, do we need to revamp the land management code, like the whole thing, because it hasn't been able to keep up with the development? Or do we need to look at specific areas of the land management code? And then looking at what that means to existing developments, not just how we handle new ones, but also that new ones fit in with some of the existing ones. So what do we need to do? Things like form-based code, right, which allows for more flexibility of what happens in a neighborhood, but it makes sure that it fits the neighborhood. And finding that balance. And I think for the short period of time that we've been here, I think we're doing a pretty good job. We've had some requests from developers to make changes to the rules that would have affected the identity of new but still existing neighborhoods, and we've said it just doesn't match, right? It doesn't match what's there, what people expected. So we've said no. So it is a big deal, and it is one of the areas that the council has the most influence on. So it's a lot to consider.
Yeah. And you mentioned the other thing that people, when you were knocking doors, you heard a lot about was, like, traffic and getting around the city. And that includes biking and pedestrians and cars and transit and all that stuff. Are there infrastructure improvements that you're focused on?
So we're focused on a couple of them. We've gotten, so DPW, the Public Works, has a really comprehensive traffic management plan that they've already presented to us once. And then just yesterday, I got a call from somebody, not only in my district, they live in my street. About the questions about that. So getting that information from the city to residents of what the city is already doing. We're also looking at, there was a sidewalk study that was commissioned a couple years ago, I think, that is about to be released. We started, one of the first things that we looked at was the e-bikes, right? A lot of opinions. When we got sworn in, after the leadership vote, the very first person who spoke about e-bikes. And it sounds simple, but it is complicated because there's safety concerns. There's people being comfortable that those bikes are not a traffic hazard or that they're going to cause a hazard on footpaths or walking paths, but also what convenience that they provide for people to get around. In my district, sometimes the only transportation option people have is an e-bike because of the lower cost. So balancing that, and then also just putting some real meaning into terms like walkability. This was a while back, right before the campaign, I believe. I was watching one of the hearings, and a developer was saying, well, this was a small little strip mall. I don't think they've even started building it yet, but it's like, well, it's walkable. That's because it had a sidewalk in front of it. But like, I knew where this was, and I'm like, well, you're not walking anywhere, right?
Right.
Like, so what does walkability mean,
Right.
right? Well, I can walk anywhere,
Right.
right? But is it pleasant, right?
Right. Safe.
Yeah. Is it safe? I met someone once through a campaign who walked from downtown to the Golden Mile to meet me, and they're like, distance-wise, that's not very far,
Right.
but they were like, I had to cross the 15 on-ramps, and there was no shade. So what does all those things mean, and how do we improve it, just big picture-wise, so that it actually makes more sense for the residents?
Yeah. E-bikes. I'm counting Nut City, but it is a thing I'm passionate about right now, just because I see the safety concerns.
Right. Right. We don't want to just allow them everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? But we also have to consider the options that they allow, the number of cars that they take off the road, right? And how do we balance that?
Exactly.
Right? So I think the next time it comes up, we've already had 2 presentations on it, and we've made some comments, and I think it'll be back at one of our committees, because it is not super cut and dry, because it touches so many things.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. On the one hand, I'm like, everyone should have one instead of a car. And then on the other hand, I'm like, they are very fast. They can go very fast. Yeah.
And for some, it's just where they end up leaving them too. It's not like a good place for.
Right. Yeah. So like currently, you're not allowed to have like the you'll see it in DC and I think Baltimore, like where you have the ones that you can rent.
Yeah.
Right. So those are already not allowed.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time working in DC and walking from the train for lunch or whatever, and like tripping over them.
Yeah, me too. And one literally ran into me when I was just standing at a crosswalk, like ran into me.
Yeah. So again, it's that balance, right? So we need e-bikes.
Yeah.
But we need people to be safe, and we need people to not make situations a different level of bad or a different type of.
Yeah.
Now, we are coming up on time a little bit, so another question or two here. What are your top priorities for District 2 and for the city as a whole as you lead the council through like this term?
So one of the reasons that a lot of people were looking for someone to represent District 2 well, there's that area of town before it was a different district. Didn't always get the attention that it needed. I think it's gotten better. Even before us, like during the last term, I think the city's done a much better job, but people still feel that it's not getting the attention. It can do better. So it's making sure that happens. And then that people know the things that we're doing. So Westside Regional Park is a big project, and making sure people are involved in how that is shaped and that people's voices are heard. Citywide development and how it touches, right? We talked about traffic, and we talked about, how people get around and the perceived growth. But a real important one for me is to make government be more connected to people. So I mentioned before how I love it when people come to meetings, and I'm pretty generous with the public comments. I think it's not people getting connected to the government, it's government getting connected to the people. I think that direction is important. And how do we make ourselves more visible so that people feel more comfortable in coming to us with issues?
Absolutely.
I've talked to people who are like, oh, I've had this problem for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. And it's like, okay, well, can't fix it if you don't tell us.
Right.
But it just didn't feel that comfortable. So things like this, right? Well, yeah, I know I'm a big fan of the City Hall Minute.
City Minutes.
Yes, those. I'm in the meeting, and I'm like the next day, I'm like, it's not. So getting that information out, I think, is big.
Yeah.
We've talked about having some of our workshops maybe in different parts in the different districts, so we can be more directly connected. So leaving the government better connected to the people, so they feel more comfortable and in participating, is a big priority for me.
And I was going to compliment you on that. Like, you and a couple of different council members, like we see at so many different events, like the Hill Street skate park.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a big public meeting, and it's like a bunch of skaters talking about ramps and verts, and I'm like Googling what those things are as we're doing like the minute, I don't know. And you're like there saying like, hey, this is how you get in contact with us if you have any questions. And that's really cool because you're making it so accessible for people to just reach out.
Yeah. Even just going to, I mean, that was a specific one. If I want the government and the city to talk to people and be listened, then I should be part of that, right?
Yeah.
But then even in just going to different events, people get to know us.
Yeah.
People see us as what we are, which is just other residents of the city, and feel more comfortable in approaching us and talking to us about their problems. So that's really, really important to me.
If coming from people being like, yeah, we really just need someone to run for city council, and you being like, to like where you are now, that's awesome.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
No, I want the next time for it not to be so hard for them to find somebody to run, right? I want more people interested and feel like it. You know, I'm the first Latino member of city council, and that's awesome. It's I'll be proud of that forever. But I'm really going to be excited for like the third or the fourth.
Yeah.
Right? And when more people feel that they can see themselves in government, I think that's great.
Yes.
That's a big goal for me.
Matters.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. It was awesome to speak to you.
Yeah.
We do have something at the end of questions. And what would that be?
Quick round trivia.
Quick round trivia.
Okay.
Okay. He's like, okay. These are just the first thing that comes to mind. So there's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
Do you want to kick us off, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to read the question. Just read as quickly as you can.
Okay.
Coffee, tea, or something else to start the day?
Coffee.
Okay, great. What kind of sicko does tea? Okay. Okay. One Frederick event or tradition you never miss every year.
Industry.
Nice.
Good one. If a visitor had just one afternoon in Frederick, where would you send them first?
If they had just one afternoon when they get hungry, I would send them to the Golden Mile. We have the best restaurants in the city.
Yes.
What my favorite restaurant is.
No, you can't. We wouldn't do that. That's like asking your favorite kid. We wouldn't do that. No, we wouldn't put you in that situation.
Well, I just couldn't pick either, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones.
Thank you so much. We hope you come back as like if there's different, legislation you're interested in talking about or policies or ordinances or whatever, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I appreciate the work that you all do and getting that information. Like I said a bunch of times, right? Talking to the people is important, and you guys are a big part of it, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will be right back after this commercial break.
Here's the City of Frederick's Manager of Sustainability, Jenny Willoughby, with a water conservation tip.
Reduce or eliminate your lawn. This is a great way to reduce your water use outside by taking out the amount of lawn that you need to water and that you need to mow.
And we are back. Well, Ed, that was Council President César Díaz.
Yes.
It was so interesting to hear how, like, someone approaches leadership, especially someone who's lived in all corners in every district of Frederick and has deep, ties to a lot of different communities across the city. And his work on the City Values Act and his commitment to the immigrant communities really shows how local government can help shape people's day-to-day lives. 100%. It's awesome.
And what really stands out is that Council President Díaz is leading during a time of big changes in Frederick.
Right.
Like growth, development, new infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Those are decisions that keep people up at night. And having a council president who's lived in every part of the city brings a really important perspective to that.
Yeah, I love how he's like, the three things that I'm hearing are affordability, traffic, and development, and like balancing all of those things. I was like, oh my gosh, that's not for the weak of heart.
And that's pretty much what you hear at every council meeting.
Exactly. And speaking of the happenings around the city of Frederick, we've got some exciting things coming up that listeners should know about. So the first is mark your calendars for September 12th.
Yes, on September 12th at 12:30 p.m. in front of City Hall, Frederick will be burying a USA 250 time capsule.
Yes.
This is part of our nation's 250th anniversary celebration, and it's designed to be opened in 50 years, when I'm a little bit older.
Yeah. When you're 60. Yeah, 65.
65. 67.
No.
Oh. So if you open it in 2076, you'll get a snapshot of what Frederick was like in 2026. It's a really cool way to mark this moment in our city's history, and residents are invited to attend.
Yes, and more than that, residents are also invited to take our survey at frederickmd.gov/time capsule survey to share your input on what goes into the capsule. So definitely take that. I think we close it August 31st. So you have a whole month to share with us what is special about Frederick and what you want to see in the time capsule. And if you love fall festivities, the Great Frederick Fair is marking its return also on September 12th, and that's through the 27th. So go to In the Streets and then go to the Great Frederick Fair the rest of the time. This has been a Frederick tradition for generations. There's something for everyone: rides, food, animals, entertainment. It's a great way to celebrate the start of fall and support local agriculture and community.
Now, Nickelodeon buried a time capsule, and they had like slime and everything. Are you going to do slime?
Listen, I can't with your Double Dare references. That is such a deep Nickelodeon kind.
We've also got Art in City Hall applications always up on website at frederickmd.gov/art in City Hall if you're an artist in Frederick. This is a great opportunity to display your work in our municipal building. It's a wonderful way to celebrate the arts in our community and get your work seen by everyone coming through City Hall.
Yes, and we mentioned this with Council President Diaz, but there's something for the skate community and families with kids. The Hill Street Skate Park is getting a major upgrade. You've heard us talk about it already. Following a community meeting, though, on July 21st, the city has posted the preliminary concept drawings and walkthrough video from Grindline Skate Parks Incorporated up on our website at frederickmd.gov/Hill Street. The design is really cool. It pairs an L Street street course with a large flow bowl. People have opinions on how large that flow bowl should be, connected by a perimeter path that skaters have already nicknamed the Old Man Loop.
Ooh. Now, you said earlier that she wasn't really keen on the
Yeah, I wasn't.
skating terms, but I saw her skate in the other morning doing a nose grind all the way around the fountain.
It's true. My secret persona is I am an extreme skateboarder.
So it's not just functional. They've incorporated some really local touches. There's a big brick stamped bank honoring Frederick's historic brickwork, a nod to the arches of the Jug Bridge, and even a Maryland-shaped ledge inlay. It's clear they listened to what makes Frederick special.
Yeah, and if you want to review the materials and share feedback, you can check out those concept drawings and walkthrough video online. Like I said, frederickmd.gov/Hill Street. The city is asking residents to submit their thoughts by August 10th, so you don't have that much time, to Grindline's Matt at grindline.com. So you can share what you feel about the flow bowl to him. And a refined concept design is expected this fall, with construction on the renovated skate park targeted for spring 2027. So just around the river bend.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to stay updated on what's happening at City Hall,
And I do.
which he does, the decisions, the debates, the conversations that help shape Frederick, you can watch council meetings. They're open to the public, and you can attend in person or watch online on the city's website. We already talked about it with Council President, but it's frederickmd.gov/public meetings.
And if the meeting goes, too long, you don't have time to sit for it.
That's right.
If that isn't your thing, then let's be honest, sometimes they do run like really long.
Too long. Yes.
Behind the Spires also has short news update format where we break down key things residents may have missed, what's happening right now, and what to look for in the coming weeks.
And we also have those city minutes, which break down the recent public meetings into plain language. They're all anywhere from like 3 minutes to a minute. Those are available on the city's YouTube and social channels. So there's a lot of ways to stay connected about what's happening here in Frederick, whether you prefer podcasts, videos, or just staying informed about events.
We're wherever you want to be.
We're everywhere.
And of course, we want to hear from you.
That's true.
So if you have any questions, topic ideas, or someone you'd like us to interview on the show, send us an email at behindthespires@cityoffrederickmd.gov.
That's Behind the Spires, the cityoffrederickmd.gov.
A little tiny birdie told me it's a Behind the Spires at cityoffrederickmd.gov.
And if you enjoy the show, remember to like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or YouTube.
Yes, and before we dip on back Behind the Spires, we just ask a tiny little favor. Tell a friend about the podcast. And if you get a chance, leave us a 5-star review. You can do that right in your podcasting app. and it helps more people discover the show.
Yeah, so thanks for spending time with us today, you guys.
Yes, and remember that kindness costs us nothing, but it means everything. We'll see you next time on Behind the Spires.
Bye.